All right, it is 8 a.m. on July 15th. We will call this meeting to order because it is virtual. John, can you do roll call for attendance, please?
I can. Hi, everybody. June 15th, 8 o'clock. Roll call for the Township regular trustee meeting. Mike Kostensky absent. Nick Koya.
Present.
Stu Fields.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
All right, let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
Which is
and to the republic
one
for which it
nation,
stands,
under
one
God,
nation, under
indivisible.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Sue, do you have any announcements or correspondences to relay today?
I don't.
Okay, I do not either. So let's move us into meeting guests. We do have a meeting guest today. Mike Collins from the Portage County Engineers Office is with us on Zoom. So Mike, the floor is yours. Look forward to hearing what you have to say.
All right, good morning, Brimfield Township officials. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to hear me out. I'm basically reaching out to you guys to talk about an intersection that's located within the township at Old Forge and Mogador. I think everybody can agree that we've had some issues with this intersection for a very, very long time. And we've done multiple countermeasures to try to improve the intersection and make it safer. Everything from signage to lowering the speed limits to tree removals to grading. And I've got a timeline since the early 90s, we've had issues with this intersection. And what the county engineer has allowed me to reach out to a consulting firm to basically study this intersection and ultimately apply for ODOT safety funds. And I think it would help if I could have some type of more of a concurrence with a local township here to try to help us get some safety funds in order to improve this intersection. We've done minor countermeasures, but I think at this point in time, we're gonna have to do something major. The intersection itself, we've had, the Mogador Road is the stopping point and Old Forge is a through road. I just believe that Old Forge is just a speeding issue and Mogador traffic is just not able to yield quick enough. And then you've got Newton, 200 feet from the intersection also. So what we're looking to do is ultimately, I think we're trying to push a rural roundabout at this location. But obviously the cost of that is usually about $1 million a pop. And we're trying to reach out to ODOT to get some offset funds in order to fund this. So I just wanted to reach out to you guys first for your guys' input on this intersection. And then second, ultimately, I'd like to get, some type of letter, kind of concurring or, giving your guys' opinion to this so we can add it to the safety application. And I've also talked to Chief Mosley because we've had multiple requests to have him go out, have his officers go out there and do radar. But obviously, that only works so long. They'll work for a month and then they go right back to, speeding. We actually have our own radar gun and we took speed measurements of upwards of 50 to 55 miles an hour through the intersection. So we're hoping that this rural roundabout not only will slow traffic down, but will not congest similar to a traffic signal or flashing beacons, similar to that nature. So my main point is to try to reach out to the locals here to see what your thoughts are and to see if we can get some type of concurrence letter from the trustees. And I'd love to have one from the chief also, being that his officers most likely answer the majority of those crash reports and things of that nature.
So Mike, you and I had talked on the phone about this, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to work with you, with the county here on trying to solve one of these road issues. But I wanted you to be able to present it to the board and then obviously to give Dave and Roy and Craig and Sue a chance to ask any questions they have about it and then come to a concurrence on how we can draft that letter. So Sue, we'll start with you. Do you have any questions on this roundabout idea at Old Forge and Mogador?
Well, this is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I would want to have time to think about it and do my own research on it before I came back with an opinion or whatever for everybody.
Okay.
And this, you know, at the board level, this is the first time it's come up, so I really want to know what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah, this is just a chance to ask any questions of Mike. That's why we had
Yeah.
him come in, just so
No,
if you had any initial
I wouldn't know
questions.
what kind of a question to ask till I look into it.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
might
and like I
solve-
said,
I
we're
solve that issue out there.
yeah, and like I said, we're pushing for a roundabout, but obviously it's all on funds and safety and things of that nature. But as far as the actual scoring, it looks like a roundabout scoring the highest, and that's what we would like to see. But we're open to any.
Now, it depends on what kind of grant money we could, what kind of grant money we could get, or the
So-
county could get for that.
Now, this is all going to be funded by the county, but potentially trying to get grant dollars to offset your cost. Are you?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, I'm just looking for a support letter more than anything from you guys to help my application when I go to about safety.
So there's no financial impact on the township. This is going to be a
Okay,
county project.
that'd be my biggest concern.
Dave, I know these are it's a county road, but you are muted. What do you think, Dave? Any feedback on a roundabout there? Any concerns? What's your thoughts?
No, I think it'd probably be a good idea. I've noticed a lot of people flying through that intersection when we're trying to get to our roads. So it'd probably be a very good idea to do something with it.
Okay.
We certainly get a hold of Mr. Bill. He
Yeah.
lives on the corner right there.
Roy, do you have any feedback or anything you want to add to this as we talk about these potential changes?
No, just a couple of follow-on questions. Obviously, the application package is geared towards getting a roundabout put there. First question is, what's the timeline for that application? How soon is that due? And then when would we receive any notifications whether that was approved or not? Secondly, if that's not approved or does not get approved as a roundabout package, would we have any follow-up options there? So, for example, if that application is not approved for a roundabout, is there something else that could be done there, maybe to help mitigate that? Maybe it's in the way of flashing lights or something of that nature. So those are my two follow-on questions.
Yeah, let me go ahead and answer that, Chief. So what we have is the applications actually due this fall, but we turn it into the local District 4 for their review and their concurrence because they're kind of our big brother in order to submit the application. So we got plenty of time, and that's why I'm reaching out to you guys this early. In regards to if we don't get this roundabout, we actually have 5 countermeasures, which include flashing beacons, always stop, traffic signal, and then it's called an increased sight triangle, which we've already done that. We've done some hill grading, things of that nature. And I truly don't think it's a sight on Mogador. I think it's a speed issue on Old Forge. Okay. So those are our control measures. I know talking with Mickey, similar to the Powder Mill Summit roundabout, we had an always stop there before, trying to introduce this to the public in order to get them ready for a roundabout was our goal. I don't think an always stop is, it's a great countermeasure. It's a great cost countermeasure, obviously, but I just don't think that's going to help either, being that Old Forge is the dominant movement. It's gonna back up on Newton. It's gonna back up that hill grade going towards Talmadge. I'm worried about collisions that way. So, we definitely have other countermeasures in place, but timing wise, applications in fall, usually we find out early winter if we are being funded or not for that. Unfortunately, fiscal year, I believe, is 2023 for funding wise though. So this is gonna be some time, but we're trying to get the ball moving. And like I said, our county engineer is really pushing hard for a big countermeasure to help this intersection.
Mike, is this going to be a larger roundabout? And when I say that, if you look at the Summit Road roundabout in Ravenna Township, it kind of feels pretty tight going around that one. Is it going to be a similar build, or are we going to expand that out a little bit? Because I know we do get a lot of heavy trucks through there.
So we definitely will do an analysis of that. I'm imagining something of a similar magnitude, but we may change because there's like a roll curb with the brick pavers or a relief point for truck traffic to get up on there, to get up as a relief point. But I would assume we do something similar, and let it, until we get into the, you know, the engineering of it, we would definitely visit that, being that you have some industrial traffic north of Mogador there and potential additional industrial traffic also. So we would definitely visit that, but I can't answer that clearly at this point.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions from anyone else on the board or any of the department heads? Any feedback or questions? All right. Hearing none, Mike, what we will do is we'll talk about at the next board meeting. We will work on drafting up a letter and get an official approval to sign that letter. So it'll probably be about 2 weeks before we could even get a signature on it, just because we want Mike Kostinsky here, obviously, for that too, to sign it. So as soon as we get that done, we'll reach out to you, but I'll be in contact in the meantime. And then if we have any other questions too, we might invite you back to the next meeting before we sign off.
Okay.
Absolutely. In the meantime, everybody's got my email, phone number. Anytime, give me a call. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for coming to this meeting today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Everyone have a good one.
Thanks,
All right,
Mike.
you too. Bye-bye. All right. So that takes us through meeting guests, meeting minutes. Hang on one second.
And there are 2 of them out there in the book.
Yeah, there was July 1 bid and July 1 board meeting were the 2 meeting minutes that we
Okay.
had to sign.
Right. I read those, agree with them, signed them. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
All right, I will second that. Any discussion on them?
No.
Okay, all those in favor? Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
We have an agenda out there. I will make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
For discussion, I would like to make one change to the agenda under administration, number 11, recycling needs to be added. Does anybody else have any additions or deletions?
Okay, all those in favor? Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
I've reviewed the purchase orders and I move to accept them.
All right, I will second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Warrants, I've reviewed the warrants and signed them this morning. I will make a motion to accept them.
Second.
All those in favor? Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right. Public comments or questions? I do not have any public comments at this point. Sue, did you have any that need to be presented?
No.
Okay. Just a reminder for the public, if you have any comments or questions that you would like addressed by the Board of Trustees, we do ask that you email them to us, or you can call us and leave us a voicemail or talk with us, and then we will bring those up in the meeting and follow up with you with a response. So that is always an option. Safety concerns, any safety concerns? Sue?
No, none my way.
Right, in my way, any from department heads? Hearing none, that will move us into police department. Roy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I only have just a couple of items for you guys this morning. Nick, I know you and I had a chance to discuss this, but I wanted to bring it to the attention for the full board as well as everyone else listening on the meeting. The traffic signalization at the marketplace at Maple Crest. We have the 2 traffic signals there. We have discussed this previously. The westernmost signal there that comes out adjacent to Arby's has a very blind sight line coming out when you exit, coming across looking at the Cascades. And I just wanted to make you aware I had a chance to speak with the Portage County Engineer's Office last week on that issue, and they are going to be putting in a left turn arrow at that signal coming out, and I think that's going to be very helpful for those blind spots that sit right there. So the timeline he had given me when we spoke was roughly 4 to 5 weeks, so it won't happen tomorrow or a week from now, but it's on their radar to get that added. And I just wanted to make you aware that that's going to be pending over there. Second item I have for you this morning is I just want to take a moment to recognize Officer Russ Deal with our life-saving award. We had 2 incidents on July 7th, and then within 24 hours again on July 8th, we had 2 overdoses. And Officer Deal was actually the first on scene at both of those incidents. He applied Narcan and CPR in those instances, and we ended up getting both those subjects recovered and sent to the hospital. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Russ, let you know that he's being provided with our life-saving award for his actions on both of those days. So those are the two items I have for you this morning. I don't have anything else at the moment, unless you have any questions for me.
Now, just passing along our congratulations to and thanks to Officer Deal for his hard work out there and those life-saving awards. You know, it's the work they do is so important, and it's great when we can recognize them for those efforts.
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
Sue, do you have anything else today?
No.
Please? All right, hearing none, thank you for your report. We'll move into the next section, which will be fire department. Craig, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, one thing for approval under the fire department, which is actually wrong on the agenda, but I don't know if you want to change it or not. Moving the purchase of the F-150. Do you need to?
No, we can leave it there. That's fine.
Honestly, I don't think it matters, but so
Yeah.
I need board approval to add a light vehicle to our fleet. It would be a 2020 Ford F-150 at the cost in front of you, which is $37,127.98.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of a 2020 Ford F-150 for the fire department at a cost of $37,127.98.
I will second that. Discussion. So, Chief, this is gonna have a rotation of vehicles then, right? Is that
Right. We didn't do this on purpose, but we're marched out pretty good. We're 3 years back on the next one, and then almost 10 years back on the one below that, but we'll replace those in a rotation and get them on a 3 to 4 year rotation.
okay?
But it's something
Just for the record too, that was in the budget for the fire department for 2020. So it wasn't an unexpected event.
Right. And this was, we knew we were gonna have to purchase because this is, as we added an assistant chief, so we had to add a vehicle to the fleet because of that.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion?
No,
All right.
Hey, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
yes,
Motion pass.
Okay, that's all I had for the fire department. Other than that, we're just running calls. So that's all I have.
All right. Hearing there's any other questions for fire department? Hearing none, we'll move into administration. Craig, floor is yours again.
Okay, on the administration side, I have a lot of board approvals. So we'll just kind of go down the line and see if they match up to my stuff. Talking about the fire station admin building, we're to the point that we have to put resolutions forward to move forward in November, if that's what we're going to do. Just because we do the resolutions today does not mean, again, that we have to run it in November, but it's the steps we have to do. So first, I would need a resolution requesting fiscal officer to certify maximum maturity of bonds. So I need that resolution passed first.
So I got the language here, Sue.
you
We
got
have
the,
to-
you
yeah,
got
we
the
have-
language for it, good.
Yeah, we have to read this. So I'll make the motion for fiscal officer certificate to state that the undersigned fiscal officer of the township of Brimfield, Portage County, Ohio, under the aforesaid agreement, hereby certifies that the monies required to meet the obligations of the township during the year 2020 under the aforesaid agreement have been lawfully appropriated by the Board of Township Trustees as the legislative authority of the township for such purposes pursuant to legislation adopted by the Board of Township Trustees and are in the custody of the township or in the process of collection to the credit of an appropriate fund, free from any previous encumbrances. The certificate is given in compliance with section 5705.41 and 5705.44 of the Ohio Revised Code. I need a second on that motion.
I'll second that.
Hey, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes?
Sue?
I don't have any discussion, so I'll say yes.
Okay, passed. Sorry, I didn't need to cut that off.
That's okay.
Okay, next one, fiscal officer certification as to maximum maturity of bonds. I have to have a resolution for that.
All right, so this is a long one, stand by. I would like to make the motion, whereas this Board of Township Trustees contemplates the issuance of bonds in the sum of $8,500,000 for the purpose of renovating and improving the existing fire station and adding administrative offices and meeting space, making site improvements and acquiring furniture and equipment therefore. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Township Trustees of the Township of Brimfield, hereafter called the Board, County of Portage, Ohio. Section 1, that the Township Fiscal Officer of this Township, as fiscal officer thereof, is hereby requested to certify to this Board the estimated life of the improvements, assets, and/or property to be made and/or acquired with the proceeds of the sale of the bonds referred to in the preambles hereof, and the maximum maturity of said bonds as provided in section 133.19 and 133.20 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 2, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. I need a second for that.
I second that for discussion.
Okay, any discussion?
We may have other people on our call today. I just want to bring to their attention, it's been 20 years that we have talked about a new fire station. We're maxed out. Health-wise, we're maxed out. And if we're going to do it, now's the time to do it.
Right.
So if they have any issues or any questions, give the fire chief a call or give me a call or you a call. I want to be really transparent on all of this.
Right.
I don't want to catch people off guard at all.
And this is just the first step. This is getting us to that next point of financing and then getting this to the level.
Right. That's the procedures that we have to go through.
Yep.
I would like to add to that as well, just from our space, from the admin ability for the people listening. We have 5 township employees across the street in a rented building because we do not have enough space for them at the town hall. Prior to moving them over here, we were sharing multiple offices with multiple employees. We had 2, and actually in one we had 3 offices with 2 people in them. So it is a definite need at this time, but it has been a need for ever since I've been here for 15 years. So, just wanted to add that.
Thank you. All right, roll call on this resolution.
Okay, all those in favor, Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay, next one, it's not spelled out directly in your agenda, but I will call it what it's supposed to be. It is a resolution of necessity of issuing the bonds. This is what I have to take to the Portage County auditors. So it's called resolution of necessity.
What number are you on?
5.
5. Okay.
John, is this the one that says certificate as to maximum maturity of bonds?
Bear with me 1 second, Nick.
Oh, no, I found it. Never mind. I found it.
Okay.
All right. I would like to make a motion for a resolution declaring the necessity of issuing, is that right? Yeah, of issuing bonds for the purpose of renovating and improving the existing fire station and adding administration offices and meeting space, making site improvements, and acquiring furniture and equipment therefore, and submitting the question to the electors of the township. Whereas this Board of Township Trustees proposes to submit to the electors of this township at the election to be held on November 3rd, 2020, the question of issuing bonds of this township in the amount of $8,500,000 for the purpose of renovating and improving the existing fire station and adding administrative offices and meeting space, making site improvements and acquiring furniture and equipment therefore, the project and the question of levying an annual direct tax on all taxable property in the township outside of the 10 mil limitation to pay the interest on and to retire said bonds and any anticipatory securities under the authority of the Ohio Revised Code, particularly Chapter 133, the Act, and Section 133.18 thereof, and whereas the Township Fiscal Officer of this township has estimated that the life of the improvements comprising the project is at least 5 years, and certified that the maximum maturity of such bonds issued therefore is 28 years. And whereas this Board of Township Trustees desires to adopt a resolution declaring the necessity of said issue, said direct tax, said election. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Township Trustees of the Township of Brimfield, hereafter called Board, County of Portage County, Ohio. Section 1, that it is necessary to issue the bonds of this township in the principal amount of $8,500,000 for the purpose described in the preamble hereof. Said bonds shall be dated approximately January 1, 2021, shall bear interest at an average net rate now estimated at 2 2/500% per annum, and shall mature and subsequently equal annual installments over a period not exceeding 28 years after their issuance. That it is necessary that they shall be annually levied on all of the taxable property in the entire territory of this township, an additional direct tax outside the limitations imposed by Section 2 of Article 12 of the Constitution of the State of Ohio to pay the debt charges on said bonds and any anticipatory securities over such period. Said tax is expected to be first levied in 2020 and first collected in calendar year 2021. Section 3, that the question of issuing said bonds and of levying said direct tax shall be submitted to the electors of the entire territory of this township at the election to be held on November 3rd, 2020, pursuant to Section 133.18 of the Act. The township has territory in Portage County, Ohio. Section 4, that the Township Fiscal Officer of this township be and is hereby directed to certify a copy of this resolution to the County Auditor for the calculation of the average annual levy that will be required to pay the interest on and retire said bonds. The County Auditor is hereby requested to certify to this board the total current tax valuation of the township and the number of mills required to generate an amount of revenue sufficient to pay the interest on and retire said bonds. Section 5, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 6, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. We need a second for that.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All
I
right,
think this is just to get us started on the project.
so this will allow the auditor's office to review all the numbers and come back with the actual millage. So I know some residents who may be watching or hearing about this later on may ask, well, what is the exact millage? What's going to be the cost?
Right.
This gets us to that point. We have to send this. This is the letter that gets us to that point.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all those in favor, Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Okay, putting all this language together, we have to retain bond counsel. The choice of bond counsel for that is Dinsmore, Dinsmore, and his name is Dennis Schwally. And that's who we have retained to, let's say, legally write up most of our stuff for bond counsel. But I need a resolution to retain him.
All right, here we go again. I will make a motion, resolution retaining bond attorneys in connection with the proceedings to submit a bond issue to the electors of the township. Section 1, the law firm of Dinsmore and Scholl LLP bond attorneys be and is hereby retained to prepare the necessary proceedings for submitting to the electors of the township the question of issuing securities for the purposes described in the preamble hereto, and to prepare proceedings for the sale thereof, and to render an approving legal opinion thereon, such sale or sales of securities to occur at one time or in installments over a period of years based on the plan of finance deployed by this board. Section 2, that said firm of attorneys shall be compensated by the township for such services in accordance with a written agreement substantially from the form presently on file with the board. At least 2 members of the board, the township fiscal officer, and other appropriate officials of the township are each hereby separately authorized without further action of the board to execute and deliver such agreement on behalf of the township in substantially the form presently on file with the board, and to take any and all actions to execute such other instruments that may be necessary or appropriate in order to effect the retention of such firm and the intent of this resolution. If the ballot issue is approved by the electors of this township, and if the board determines to issue such bonds or notes in anticipation of such bonds, such firm shall be compensated in accordance with a separate written agreement to be entered into with this township at the time such bonds or notes are issued. Section 3, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were meetings and open to the public in compliance with the law, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. I need a second.
Second,
Any discussion on that one?
a discussion, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Hey, all
Okay,
those, go ahead.
Okay, you're good with bond counsel too, right?
Oh, yeah, we've used him before. He's good.
Okay,
Dennis Schwally is very good.
all right. Roll call.
Hey, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes,
Motion passed.
Okay, moving on, number 7 on your agenda. We had the opportunity to purchase the property that is right north of the fire station between us and the gun shop. Unfortunately, the lady that lived there, she passed away about 6 months ago, and we had kind of negotiated with them to buy that property. And we do have a verbal agreement moving forward for that. So I wanted to bring it to the board at this point. We have agreed on $100,000 plus closing costs that we would pay. We did have a realtor come out and estimate that for us and did our own research, and we are getting it well below market value. So we feel that it was a good cost for us, but a needed piece in moving forward with the project for the future. So I need a resolution to purchase said property. I don't have the parcel number. I don't know if I need that, but
Do we have the street address?
now I can pull it up real quick if you want that.
Just send it to me. I know when we know what Wanda's house, but I'll fill in the street address. It's just the property north of the fire department on 43.
Yeah.
But send me the street address for it.
Yeah, I can probably pull that up while we're sitting here doing stuff, but
Okay.
if the board wants to talk about that.
okay. I would like to make a motion that we purchase the residential property next door to the township, just north of us here, for $100,000 plus paying the closing cost for discussion.
I will second that for discussion. I think one of the things to discuss about this, just so the public's aware too, one of the reasons that we looked at purchasing this property is because that actually part of their structures land on township property, and part of the driveway lands on township property. So that's going to create a hardship if they were ever to sell that anyways, because they've actually encroached across that line at some point. We don't know when that ever happened, but so that's one of the concerns. Second of all, it allows us to be able to help work towards that town center district that we're looking for.
Part of the issue is, in case y'all don't remember, part of that was an alleyway coming up going east. There was an alleyway there. And years ago, the township trustees, we closed the alley off. And then people next door poured a cement driveway, and their driveway is actually over on township property. And a few years back, their asking price was like $300,000 for that property. And so I think that our fire chief and the research and what we've been able to come up with to get this for the township, I think it's to our benefit. I appreciate the family being willing to work with us.
Craig, I got the address.
Okay, I was I just pulled it up for you, but I do have a comment on that for the public. This will be part of our project with the fire station. This will roll into that same amount.
Right, yeah, this is all getting lumped in part of that expansion.
I know it feels like I'm spending a lot, and it is a lot, but you know, it will get lumped together in the end. So.
Okay.
Any other discussions by the board?
Hey, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, on to some more exciting things, and I'll explain as I go. If we saw the article in the newspaper and the board has already approved that we were going to take our old property that is township property that is south of the elementary and to the east of what was Brimfield Family Medicine. We're taking that approximately 4 acres and we're turning that into soccer fields. Those will also be fields that we can use. It'll retain as township property for community events. As I said, if you saw the article, I have plans that I would like to do some other things, but right now I need to get board approval to go ahead and purchase the soccer goals not to exceed the $6,000 that Myers has donated. So it would not be at our cost, it would be at their cost. But I need, well, I don't know. John, do I even need board approval for that? Because it was a donation.
We'll just do it knowing that we got a donation and where it's going. So we'll make a purchase order for it and we'll send it out that way.
Okay.
And it's over 2,500. So yes, we do.
So that would be the first thing. Do you want me to finish with?
Let's do that first. So let's just do them one by one. So I'll make a motion to approve purchase of soccer goals for the soccer fields based on the donation from Myers.
Second.
For discussion, I'm really excited about this project. I think it's going to go well. I will have an update for the board. We'll be presenting in front of the BZA tonight because we have to get a variance on that property to play soccer on it. So I'll be presenting in front of them tonight, representing the board, asking for them to allow us to do that.
Okay, yeah, I guess I was going to reiterate the same thing. We do have to get BZA conditional approval on that. I don't anticipate having any issues with that. So we want to go forward with that. With that being said, I have a meeting with Field Youth Soccer tonight. It's not exclusive to Field Youth Soccer, but that's who we'd like to provide first with the opportunity. And I believe that we want to, even though I want to redo them for next year, have them open for August 1st of this year. I don't know if we need approval for that or we're all just okay with that.
I think as soon as the BZA approves it, you're good. I mean, it's township property. There's no big change there.
Okay. And that's what I'm waiting on tonight.
All right, so we got to get a roll call on this purchase. So John, can you do a roll call on the purchase not to exceed $6,000?
Yes. Nick Koya, I'm sorry. Move to approve the purchase, Nick.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Okay, a couple of things with the soccer fields, and this will piggyback on to the next thing, but Cassie, are you on?
Yes.
Okay, Cassie's here. We're working together, and I just wanted her comments on this of what we needed to do. What we feel like we need to do once this is approved for them, all child/parent/coaches will be required to sign a township COVID-19 waiver form. This has already been ran by a lawyer and approved. They will have to meet those stipulations. All reservations for the fields will be made through Cassie and the Parks Department. And that's where we need to go with that. So we're not going to sign a lease agreement. They're just going to reserve like they would with any other field. Do we have any questions on that part?
Yeah, and we're gonna give field use soccer first choice on those reservations, correct?
I mean, I want to give community first.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just want to make sure they get the opportunity to submit their whole calendar first.
Okay, so something we need to talk about, because I have different plans and announced different plans of making these fields really nice, and they're kind of just there right now. We should typically charge other sporting events fees. Do we want to waive fees for the rest of this year? Do we want to charge a small fee? I guess I'll jump in there again and say I believe that we should waive the fee for this year. But what's your thoughts on that?
Cassie, what's your feedback on that?
I'm kind of on board with waiving the fee, honestly, because of the big inconvenience with the schools, fields shutting down. I think it'd be a good thing to do for the community.
And I really concur with that too. I know I've talked with Craig once about it. The fields really aren't going to be prepped to the standard that we want for next year, where I think at that point it justifies charging a fee.
How long does a soccer season last? Are we talking about maybe 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah.
I would waive the fees for 2 months, since this is a new thing that we're trying to do. And
Right.
we really, since the school said nobody's coming into school unless they're a teacher or a student, it just wipes out so much of community graciousness.
Right.
So I would, not having a fee for this time is all right with me. I think maybe we should make since the
Sue,
Spark is gonna meet tonight,
Right.
we should have a motion pending the BZA conditional use approval.
hey
That
Sue,
would go to the meeting instead of waiting another 2 weeks to bring it back.
hey Sue. Can I jump in there because I did, this just popped into my head. If we're gonna charge baseball, but then we're not gonna charge, is that gonna be unfair?
And number 7 on our agenda.
I gotta,
So
do you want me to say all these first and then we'll make a decision? John?
Yeah, I would think so, because we're doing for one and we're not doing for the other.
Okay, so do we do approval to buy the soccer goals?
We already
Yeah.
did.
Okay, so we did approval last meeting to make it the soccer field, so I don't need any more on that. If you want me to speak about number 7 before we make that decision,
Well, there's just a fee on number 7.
so
So I guess before we pass to not charge a fee for that, we need to decide on the other one, because it's the same reason.
okay, do you want me to roll into number 7 then?
Yeah, if you guys are okay with that, I think we should before we decide.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the other sport thing and then figure out how we do this.
Okay, so I had after we approved for the soccer fields, it had nothing to do with this, but I had a call from Field Youth Football. For whatever reason, I'm not going to speculate the reason, Field is not allowing the youth programs to use their fields this year. So they found out about this recently. They start football next Monday. So it was my intent all along, and I've spoke to the board and Dave and Cassie and everybody else, that we find them a place, and we found them a place. What we could allow them to use would be the outfield down at Edson Road Park. They would be plenty of room down there to use that. They could practice down there. Obviously, we couldn't provide them a game field. They'll have to figure that out on their own, but we can provide something. With that being said, we all agreed that we thought it was fair to keep soccer on one spot, football on another spot, and baseball on another spot, and that they would not overlap games, practice, because it would just cause problems. I can't have people hitting baseballs at the football players or vice versa. So we can make it work. So that's kind of the second thing. I kind of need approval to allow them to use Edson Road Park. But we did talk about a fee again for that.
Well, I thought about this. I don't think we really need per se approval, other than we need a motion on what the fee structure would look like. Because don't we, Cassie, still have those outfields listed as soccer fields as a rentable option out there?
We do, yes.
So they're technically just taking over they're renting the old soccer fields, Craig. So
Yes.
we don't have to give them authorization. They're just renting those fields. Because we already had that structure in place.
Okay,
So talk about is, are we gonna charge them that full rental fee, or do we want to modify that because of the current circumstances?
Let me say that my personal opinion is we're not making a lot of money on these, but in effort to say, hey, we charged you, but we didn't charge you, we should make it fair across the board. Whether that be a flat fee for the rest of the year or something, it's rented at that point.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me ask Craig, and you might not know the answer to that, and if you don't, this is fine. I know with the baseball, they build some of that into their baseball fees, right? When you sign up for baseball. Is soccer and football the same way? Were they paying a rental fee to the school? Because, my concern is if we tell them it's $5 a game to use it, and it's not built into their structure, they might not be able to afford to do that. That's my concern.
They collect money from each kid, and they usually do fundraisers throughout the year. I have spoke to field youth football. They're okay with that. I need to speak to soccer, but I'm assuming they're okay too on a fee structure. But I just think a flat fee would be easier because I don't know. We just don't know how long they need it.
Well, I would agree with that too, simply because there are other people that want to rent those, but we give them first option to it.
Right.
But I think the soccer should pay something for over there, the same flat fee, $100, $200, whatever it be for the whole season, just because they rented it and that's what we charged everybody else. And I mean, if we're going to charge a fee, we need to charge it across the board. If we're going to waive it, we can waive it across the board too. And I'm fine with either of them.
Right. So I would be okay with just doing for this year only, because this kind of came to us. There's a hardship in the township with the baseball field, or with the soccer fields and the football fields. What do you think, Craig? Is $100 a month a fair flat rate? And so they rent it for 2 months or 3 months, it's $200 or $300, and that's it. But they have to submit their dates. They get one choice at dates, and then we're allowed to open the other dates up to public.
I would counter that by saying $200 for the rest of 2020 for each program.
Okay.
I just don't want to make it complicated, because there's going to be, and think about this, this is a good thing, but we're not putting one soccer team on the field. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's going to be multiple teams using that. Field youth football has a Mighty Mite team, a JV team, a varsity team. There's multiple teams. I think they'll be fine paying $200.
All right, so I'll make a motion that it's this year for 2020 only, a $200 rental fee. So this is a modification to the rental agreement. $200 rental fee to reserve the field for the remainder of the year.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on that? The only thing that I would caveat that with, Craig, is that they need to get us a schedule as soon as possible, because we do know that there may be other rentals or some pieces.
This is where Cassie comes in. So again, we're not signing a lease agreement. We're through 2020, not to extend past 2020. They will just schedule with Cassie when available.
And for the time being, I've taken down the online rental calendar just because it's been so confusing. And the online rental calendar only gives you so many time slots to use. So I'm taking all reservations directly so that there's no confusion.
And I think just fair to other teams that might need to rent, Craig, can you get with the coaches and give them 2 weeks to get that scheduled to Cassie? So that we know what the remainder of the year looks like. If they need an extension, they can come back for an extension, but let's try to set a hard deadline of 2 weeks in case other teams need that. Does that seem fair?
Oh yeah. And we're getting a lot of calls. It's going to be booked every day.
Yep.
So.
Right. That's why I want to get these 2 teams locked in, and then we can get it opened up to everybody else.
Right. And like I said, I don't want to extend past 2020 right now. We'll see how this works, and if they need it, we'll talk again. I'm sure it'll work fine, but we're trying to help them out as much as possible because they don't have an option. So.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, roll call on this.
Okay, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, so with field youth football, Dave Ruffner, I'm throwing him out there, is actually one of the coaches. So that'll be nice. He will be out on the field and be able to, keep kids off baseball fields and stuff like that. With football, with knowing football, there's equipment that needs that you need to have on the property. I would like to use a corner of the enclosed Edson Road Pavilion that we deemed that we're not using for rentals anymore for storage of equipment for the football team for practices. Dave was okay with that. He would be there coordinating that, so I feel more comfortable with that. Are we okay with that?
Like we discussed on the phone, my only concern is just the safety piece of that, and that's why we stopped renting that. Dave, if you could just make sure from a rental standpoint, before we let them start storing stuff in there, that you just do a quick run through and fix any potential safety issues that can be reasonably fixed. Anything that's, you know, a glaring safety issue with inside that facility.
Okay, no problem.
'Cause I just don't want to see a kid or another coach get hurt in there, so that's all.
Well, what I'm thinking about is we won't allow everybody to run in there. I'll be there like Craig said, so I'll do the walking in and out and get what they need.
Okay.
We need to pass a resolution for that, just so it's out there and okay.
Yeah, because it is closed. So I'll make a motion to allow the Field Youth Football Association to store their equipment in the building down at Edson Road Park.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Okay, all those in favor, Nick,
Yes?
Sue?
Yes,
Okay, motion passed.
I have a question here. You know, last year, we spent $13,000 to upgrade our baseball field.
Mhm.
Now, in order to maintain that level and degree, this year we spent $6,000 to rebuff it and keep it going so that then next year we're not hit with something more than the $6,000 to keep it all. Now, if these kids are down there playing soccer or football or whatever, is there any way that we can keep them off of our investment with the baseball field?
So the soccer players won't be down there. It's going to
Okay.
be the football players, and that's a conversation we had with Dave because he's going to monitor
He's
that.
gonna monitor that because he works with the football kids. Okay.
Well, they're
All right.
only out in the outfield, correct?
Yes.
And where we put all the money, Sue, just so you know, is on the infield with the fill dirt and all that stuff. So if they're off that, we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, good.
And that's part of the conversation that Craig's going to have with both presidents of those boards. These are our expectations, and you're paying this fee. You have to meet certain expectations. If you're not meeting these, we can pull that agreement anytime.
Okay, well, we got our bases covered then.
Right. Just so you know, I have a meeting with soccer tonight and a meeting with football tomorrow, so they'll know our expectations.
Craig, you also have another one on here, number 10, approval for porta potties.
Yeah, so at the soccer fields, because we're all of a sudden doing this, which I think is a good thing, we need to provide a couple porta potties out there for kids to use. It's not fair for mom to have to load them up and go to McDonald's or whatever, you know, so I think we need at least 2 porta potties put on the property.
Do those porta potties, I don't frequent porta potties, and do they have sanitizers and stuff like that inside?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will be posting COVID rules and stuff like that. We're working on that.
Oh, okay,
So I would make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 porta potties for the soccer fields.
second.
Well, let me jump in there real quick. We rent those, so I'm going to rent them from Portage porta potties. Just in this not to exceed $500. They're not going to be that much, but we're only going to need them for a couple months anyway, and then we'll just take them back.
Okay.
So just approve the rental of those.
So we'll modify that motion to approve the rental not to exceed $500.
Okay.
Roll call?
All those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes,
Motion passed.
Craig, you got any other updates?
Well, I think I'm done. I've done enough. So unless you got any questions, I'll meet with all these people. We'll get it approved. I just want to comment again. I think they will be very happy with us, and I'm very happy to provide, you know, what we can for the teams. I think it's very important for these kids to be able to play as long as they can. You know, if it gets crazy out there and COVID rules change, which they do, you know, we'll shut it down at that point. But we're going to move forward. So.
Number 11, recycling, just to give the board an update. We made a motion and approved to continue the recycling program based upon 3 changes to the old contract. We received a new contract from the Portage County Solid Waste Management District. It did not meet that agreement that they originally sent us. They rewrote the contract completely. So we just are not being able to sign that contract yet because council had to review it. We did have a phone meeting with the district yesterday to discuss the multitude of changes and recommendations on behalf of the board from a legal attorney standpoint.
Right.
So he's drafting that final changes with all the language changes in it that would meet our needs too, since the county decided to completely change the contract. And he will get that over to Solid Waste this week for them to review and give their thumbs up on. Then it will come back to our board to re-vote on and reapprove at the next trustee meeting.
Okay.
Because the motion was only for the old contract. That's not what they want. They want a brand new contract with all new language in it. So we have to re-vote on keeping the recycling program.
Okay.
It's more of a technicality, but I think it's fair that we're transparent with where we're at on that.
Nick,
Okay. Do that.
Nick,
Yes.
did I hear that right? That we approved a contract that they sent us and then they changed it?
Yeah, so the proposal from the county was to keep our old contract with 3 changes. The changes being the date of terms of contract, obviously, the July through June 30th. The rate structure changing, price changing that we've talked about, $3 to $3.75. And then the service to be changed in that contract from weekly to every other week. We were to maintain all other terms of the old contract, was the way they had worded that to us. The contract we received, when you compared them side by side, we thought this would be a quick comparison just to make sure that the language changed for the pricing and the pickup. When you put them next to each other, they were not the same contract. All new definitions, new sections added, language changed in multiple sections. Their explanation was, well, this meets our new contract requirements that we're sending out, which is fine, but that's not what was proposed to us. So we did not, what they proposed to us and what they submitted are 2 different things, which makes our vote really kind of null and void at this point.
Kind of like a little bait and switch there on us.
I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah. So it's not a holdup by the board here where we were trying to move forward. We had our attorney look at it real quick. It took him about a week. I called him and said, hey, you know, this is a quick document. What's taking so long? And that's when he broke the news to me that it was completely different.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So we are working through that. I will have that updated. I have the red line document emailed out to everybody. You should have that. When I get the final document back from Mark in Solid Waste, then I'll send that out. Mark will leave that red line and then so that you can see the official language changes.
Okay. Nasty.
So just wanted to give an update on that.
Disappointed. Okay.
Anything else under administration? If not, we'll move into zoning. Mike, floor is yours.
Thanks, Nick. So the first thing is zoning is requesting board approval for removal of section 400.20B 47H of the Brimfield Township zoning resolution requiring a letter from the fire chief on flag-shaped lots. So Craig and I have discussed this at length. There was a flag-shaped lot that came up, and I don't want to speak for the fire department, but he was saying that they don't have jurisdiction on residential properties. So, you know, we've had this in the code for a long time, and it went through zoning commission and then regional planning. So we just felt it was best just to take it out if there's a conflict there.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion for the removal of section 400.20B.47.H of the Brimfield Township zoning resolution.
Second.
Was the feedback from regional planning okay on this, Mike?
No, it was discussed a little bit at length because a lot of the other townships still have this in there. But, you know, I explained to him there's a conflict in there and they're going to look into it as well for the other townships. So.
And our zoning commission was okay with the removal, correct?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Any questions, Sue?
No.
All right, hearing none. Roll call, Mike or John.
All those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
So Five Below at Cascade is opening as of right now, August 21st. Menards is opening in September of this year. On July 9th, Zoning Commission submitted the proposal for the new setbacks on pools and accessory buildings. That is going to regional planning to take a look. We are looking at a proposal on pools and sheds, things of that nature, of instead of following the house in the zoning district that you are, sometimes it's 15-foot off property lines for pools and sheds. We were looking at going to either 5 or 10 foot and just keep it a standard for every district throughout. Right now, we are at the 5 foot, and we'll see what regional planning says. And that's just to keep the variances to a minimum. We're seeing an increase in variances, and it's usually your zoning is incorrect, or there's parts of the code that are incorrect when we see this many variances. We have a virtual board of zoning appeals tonight at 7 o'clock. Sunny Hills Villa Apartments is under construction. Our comprehensive land use plan, we need a date with the trustees and department heads for the 5-year plan. Nick was with us at the zoning commission, and we discussed some of the surveys and things of that nature that the comprehensive land use plan is working on. The search warrant for 1435 Talmadge was completed on June 29th. I'm still waiting reports from fire department and health department. I did get the Portage County Building Department report, which declared the house uninhabitable. So it looks like I'm going to be coming to you guys with that report just alone. We could start the demo process on that house. So I will be in the next couple weeks working on that, work with Brett Benz on it, and bring something to the board for either they're going to have to repair it, and we'll give them so many days, maybe a few months, get a game plan together. If not, we'll have to look at demoing that house as well. Looking into all subdivisions in Brentfield responsible for maintenance within the subdivision. So I'm working with Dave. Dave and I had some discussions. We started a spreadsheet on it, and I'm working to see who has HOAs, who doesn't have HOAs, and if those HOAs are responsible for the islands or if it's the township. King's Car Wash is planning on building next to Arby's in Maple Crest. That's an exciting thing. I've had discussions with them. I've had, not on this list, but I've also had conversations with Sheets several times. They have a location in mind that they're very interested in. It will require BZA approval as well. And Myers is open and it appears to be very popular. Every time I go down there, it seems like a hot spot, and a lot of people even do lunch there as they have the lunch that they cook there. And then our zoning fees and fire fees are totaling $88,145. Looks like we're going to have a record year, I think, with fees. So that concludes my report.
All right, thank you so much for that. Any questions for zoning department? All right, thank you. Hearing none, road department, Dave, the floor is yours.
Well, morning, everybody. Just want to let the board know that we've done about 7, 8 driveways and street culvert pipe replacements. We've been doing some ditching along with them culvert pipe replacements. We've been trimming back some trees, getting them back off away from signs still. We've been doing some dirt patches, some of the potholes that have been coming up. Sachs Road has been chip and sealed. It still needs its road striping and a little work on the berm before the job will be completed, but it seems to be a popular road now. There's a lot of traffic. Things are moving forward on the Sterling Green and Chapman paving project. Everything's still looking good as the first week of August. That's coming in and starting the concrete work there. And then the second week will be the paving part of the project. I need the board's approval. Grade Line was our low bidder for the Selnick and Malloy Road culvert projects at $129,817.83. for the replacements of them culverts. I need your approval to move forward with that.
So I'm making a motion to approve grade line for the Selnick and Molloy Road culvert project not to exceed $129,817.83.
Second.
Dave, did the engineer looked at that and they met all the requirements that we need in that bid proposal?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Have we worked with grade line before?
We haven't personally, but they have done work for Portage County. So they're a very reliable company, they said, so.
Okay, that's what I was just looking for, was some feedback on, because I hadn't heard of them before.
Right, they're eager to get started too, so.
Okay. Any questions, Sue?
All
All
those,
right, questions, need a roll call?
all those in favor, Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Dave, how soon do you think grade line's gonna get on that project?
I don't know, we still gotta do a pre-construction meeting and that, but as, with this moving forward, Mike Collins can get that all set up through them to get it moving fast as possible. We already got, our letter, our stuff to proceed from the state, because it's an OPWC grant job, so we're ready to go. So I'll probably know more by next trustee meeting when they're planning on starting.
Okay.
Which brings me to the second board approval that I need. I looked at it and I would like to get OmniPro to be the inspector of the culvert job. It's at a cost of $27,617. And the proposal is for 7 weeks, but we don't feel the projects are going to last that long. It'll be the same setup as before, where we would give the county the money and then they would pay them, and then we would get reimbursed at the end of what's left over.
Okay. I'll make that motion for OmniPro to inspect the culvert jobs at a cost not to exceed $27,617.
second. For discussion.
You have questions?
Yeah, yeah, second.
Yeah. So questions, Dave, OmniPro, they did our last job, right?
Yes.
Were you happy with the results from that inspection process?
Yeah, because they send a lot of data to you. They keep you informed of everything's going on with like day to day and bi-weekly and that stuff. And they're actually doing Chapman and Sterling Green project too. So pretty comfortable with the guys there.
Okay. Sue, do you have questions on?
Well, what are some of the things that OmniPro would do that would be considered an inspection? Is this as the job progresses, or is this when it's done, they come in and see what's happened?
No, they're there every day. They're making sure the stuff's getting put in right, compactions, grades, all the work done properly. Say if I was trying to do it, and then I'd have to shut down everything I'm doing in the township for that period. So, and they're way more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am. So it would be our best interest to have a company like that in here, because they're do the engineer side of things that I'm not going to say I can do.
Okay.
Well, and if I could add, don't they add into the fact that if something goes wrong with the project, it's kind of on to them, not with us fighting to get it taken care of with the contractor?
Right. Yeah, because if, say we notice something we don't like, we tell them and then they go fight the contractor for us.
Okay.
So it's not, as long as it's, you know, in reason.
Well, and we have a situation like that right now going on, don't we?
Yep. And right now they're doing the fight for us. You know, they're working on our punch list for our paving project from last year.
Yep.
So.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
All right. All in
Okay,
favor?
all those in favor, Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
Is this all signed?
Okay, I got one more for everybody. I just need a resolution on the books. If we want to move forward, I'd like to move forward for the no parking signs for Sanctuary View Drive, Ridgeview Drive, Vista Circle, and Pleasant Lakes Drive, where we're having problems with people parking on both sides of the road. I've already spoke with the county about it. And with the density of the people and stuff there, we feel it'll be a good move to get no parking signs up on one side of the roads.
I'll make a motion to put no parking signs for Sanctuary View, Ridge View, Vista Circle, and Pleasant Lakes Drive, as needed. That way you can put up as many as you need.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
No, we already talked about that
Yeah.
last meeting.
All right, roll call, John.
Hey, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
The motion passed.
Hey, John,
Yes.
can you indicate that one of your neighbors there is on the HOA there in Pleasant Lake?
Yes.
All right. Maybe we can make them aware, and maybe they can post something for your neighborhoods there, just trying to make an educational piece on the front end.
Okay, on the Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'll get that.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that concludes my report for today.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Parks and Rec. Cassie, the floor is yours. You're muted, Cassie.
Sorry about that. The first item, the new air conditioner was installed at the community center. That work was approved, I think, back in April or May. That was finished last week. The community center and pavilion rentals are still on hold. I'm canceling those on a 2-week basis, and that's going to continue as long as the ban on gatherings of 10 or more is still in place. The last announcement that the governor made, that is extended indefinitely. So I'm just continuing to go every 2 weeks and make those cancellations. We don't have a lot of reservations left, so there's not as many cancellations. So it's unfortunate, but I'm still working on that. For Messner Acres, the Klein Road Park, I am looking at getting some quotes for barn demolition. That barn is becoming more and more of a hazard every day. So I'm looking to hopefully get that done sooner than later. So I'm just looking for quotes for that.
Mesner, Cassie, are we gonna get that sign put up there about the future site of that? Do we want to do like a big unveiling? What's the game plan for that?
I would like to ideally do a big unveiling. That would be very nice, maybe sometime in the fall.
Okay. Okay.
And then COVID-19 park signs. I'm in the process of ordering some semi-permanent signs for the parks, for the athletic fields, playgrounds, dog park, and pavilions. These are included. They're printed out for you. They're pretty generic signs that are honestly just good advice all the time. Wash your hands after touching surfaces, cover coughs and sneezes, and just obey government, and CDC guidelines regarding COVID-19. So I just think it's important to post those so that people know that we are paying attention to the situation and we are aware of what's going on. So.
Okay.
And then my last item, I am asking board approval to form a parks committee. I know we had a parks committee in the past, and I think it'd be awesome to bring that back because I'd like more input from the community. The purpose of this committee would be to plan events, fundraising ideas, community projects, and possible volunteer opportunities in the future. Obviously, we would be meeting virtually. And I'm looking to get 7 to 9 individuals in this committee. And Andrea Ireland from the National Park Service has been working with me, and she has offered to help facilitate the first few meetings of this committee.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the formation of a Broomfield Parks Committee to begin in the fall of 2020 for discussion.
I'll second that for discussion. Mike is the liaison for the parks.
Right.
And I just wondered, would he be in agreement to having this done?
Have you talked with Mike about this?
Yes, yeah, and he was, I don't want to speak for him, but in the conversations I had with him, he said that he would be on board for that.
And I think, the only thing that I would suggest is once you do start doing this, maybe that first meeting, you guys should create some type of charter document that outlines what the expectations are, what their abilities are. keeping in mind that they're a committee that's going to bring forward recommendations to the board. I think that was some of the issues in the past, is they thought that they were a separate board and could make executive action, where I think it needs to be more in a charter document that they should bring to us that says this is their roles, then they would bring their ideas before the board for final approval. Does that make sense?
Years ago, we had a Parks Commission, like 20 years ago. when
Right.
Steve Moore was here. And at that time, the Ohio Revised Code, which we weren't aware of, we gave them 1/10 of a mil or whatever to operate with and all that kind of stuff. Then we found out that it was illegal and we could not do that. So then they disbanded.
Right.
We had to get rid of it. So I don't want any kind of, you're talking about a charter thing. I would just say maybe some bylaws or something very, very simple, because I wouldn't want the state to come back and say that we're in violation of Ohio Revised Code.
Right. Yeah. So what the charter would allow for is the group to be an official committee, but they couldn't make any action. So they could.
Because see that they were like in life, they were like the BZA. They were a body by themselves.
Yeah. So
I think that's what the problem was.
yeah. So the charter allows you to have a committee. That committee can vote to send something to the board. These are our suggestions, but the actual action would be taken by the board of trustees,
Okay.
which takes you out of that. But then I think it also gives clear delineation of roles and responsibilities, so that we don't, because I think that was some of the issues we had in the past. Is
Well,
that,
as long as Mike would be on board with it, I don't want to supersede anything on his end of anything. If he
Right.
would be on board with it, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I think it'd make us much more effective and it'd make us more out in the community of working with our people.
how do you feel about that, Cassie? Does that work with what you're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was thinking. So.
Okay. Any other questions on that? If not, can we get a roll call? John, you're muted. John, you shut your camera on.
Okay, sorry. My mouse is hard to work with. All those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes,
Okay, motion passed.
I'm excited to see what the committee will be and who we can be involved in that.
Me too. And that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you so much. Cemetery, we have no action.
I'm gonna get a hold of Kevin at Portage Marble.
Okay.
And ask their crew to come over and do the engraving on that stone, because Dave is so far behind with everything as far as moving that over, because he can only do that when he has a little bit of time from doing all the other things he's doing. They can go ahead and do that writing now instead of doing that writing on there after it gets moved over.
Okay.
Because he hasn't poured the foundation yet. He just, so I want to work with that. Have Kevin come over and have those guys go ahead and have that portion done.
Yeah, let me know when it gets done, because I want to go over and see.
Okay.
So, all right. Fiscal office, do you have any action today?
No, all my stuff was under admin.
No executive sessions. Anything for the good of Brimfield Township? Department heads, anything you want to add? All right, board, anything for the good of Brimfield?
I've had a resident approach me and begin talking about the police department and the fire department, because they came on TV with, we're going to defund the police departments and all that. And they were so appreciative of what our community does with our roads and our 3 safety issues departments. It keeps all of us going. And I just wanted to let you all know, I think all 3 departments really, really represent us well. They're very, very pleased.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're very lucky here in Brimfield Township. We have great leadership within the township from our department heads, and we have some really good employees too.
We do. Excellent.
We're very
Just
lucky here.
excellent.
All right, anything else for the good of Brimfield? If not, I need a motion to end this meeting.
So moved.
I will second.
Hey, all those in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes. Bye,
Okay,
Chief.
we're closed at 9:19.
Thank you.